Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I want to apologize for my extended vacation, getting back to the channel. My original plan was to take 2 weeks off, kind of recoup. I had some vacation time from work, and between that, getting sick, and then having some things go south in the house I had to take care of, it expanded much longer than I thought. Now, that doesn't mean things weren't going on behind the scenes. As you may see off to my shoulder here, I did get quite a lot done on the layout. This is one section. I have another section that looks like it's just off to the side of the camera, but we'll visit it in this video. What we're going to do is we're going to go through what I've done, how I did it, show off some work that's been completed, and then you might notice this really nice layout of locomotives and some rolling stock here. And these are some of the things I've acquired during Christmas, the holiday season. Some of them were presents, and others were deals that I treated myself to for Christmas. All of them posed a challenge. Some, knowing when I purchased it, had issues. Others were complete surprises. And one other one that you'll probably see coming up around the front of the layout was the biggest challenge. That engine arrived as a kit. So this episode I'm going to go over the layout, and then I didn't take any video of any of the repairs or updates or anything that I've done to any of these models, but what I did do is take some photographs. So I might do a quick video or a photo montage of what it took to get that BR103 back together, upgraded with a new motor and a new drive. That's actually a Pico steam engine that goes back to 1970s, early 80s. And those of you, or the viewers from Europe, know that those are usually big grinders. And if you notice, she almost sounds maybe a little bit louder than a Marklin right now. So there's some cool stuff that I did, and we'll touch on what took place with this locomotive. And then as episodes continue moving forward, I'll highlight each one of these other models. So this way you're not sitting through an hour's worth of boring stuff. But alright, if this wets your whistle, welcome aboard, and we'll see you in a few. All right. Christmas surprise number one. So, I've been looking for a BR-103. And what that basically is a European fast express steam locomotive. They came out between early to mid 30s to almost 1940. And they were a derivative of the BR-01. Locomotives look almost identical. It's just that the BR-03 was designed for lighter axle loading. So I stumbled across a Pico. It was for a very good price. It was complete. Looked like a very nice unit. So I purchased it. Waited a few weeks. It arrived literally Christmas Eve. And I was all excited. I opened up the box and I knew something was wrong as soon as I started reaching in and pulling the unit out. It didn't have its original box, which I knew it was that way in the listing. But it didn't have a solid feeling to it, let's just say. And as I put it on my dining room table and slowly unrolled the bubble wrap, it immediately became apparent that it was probably in about 60 pieces. So that led to a lot of disappointment, because I thought that from the point of which I purchased it, I would be able to do maybe a remotor to it. I had some ideas about quieting down the drive line. Like I told you, those particular Pico units, the vintage ones, are known to be very noisy. It has a drive very similar to what I want to say is A-Line in the 60s. Most all of the very early American diesels, where the motor was set with a spur gear, and then there was another spur gear below that went to a set of worm gears that then interacted with the axle gears. Okay, so just that combination of spur gears is enough to make a pretty good racket. Well, the Picos had two sets of those. Motor had a pinion, which then went to a worm, and then there was a shaft where there was, a pinion to another spur gear, rather, and then a shaft with another spur gear that went to another spur gear below it that carried the worm gear shafts, which then powered the tender drive wheels. But all that was forlorn, because right now I was looking at a kit. So I immediately reached out to the seller. Seller was very apologetic. We worked out a deal, and I ended up looking at what I had for the very first time and assessing the damage and seeing how I could get it back together again. So to the workbench, and I carefully and methodically started reassembling the locomotive, test fitting pieces, gluing them, touching up the paint. I reassembled the running boards back to the boiler and the front pilot assembly. I was able to get the locomotive back together again, fortunately, and I ended up washing everything completely and giving it a satin coat of clear to make everything blend together. I went through the running gear of the steam engine, and I painted the drivers. The driver tires, they were bright shiny. They weren't like that in real life. So, and all the modern locomotives coming out now, whether they're black wheeled or red wheeled for German or European, the tires are either chemically blackened or they are painted to match the center of the wheels. So I I did that to the pilot, the trailing, and the main drivers. I did the same thing to the tender wheels. And once everything was working well, I moved on to remotoring, and I ended up converting it to belt drive. So now there's only one set of spur gears in there. They are helical cut, which helps with the noise. But it came out so good that I developed my own belt drive, like I was saying. And the way I did that is I ended up taking a pulley from the open close drawer mechanism of an old CD player that I had laying around, and a brass flywheel that was quite light. It didn't have much momentum, and it was a very small flywheel. Measuring everything out, I ended up pressing the flywheel onto a 2mm extra shaft that I had, chucking that into my drill, and then mounting the drill into my vise, using it as a lathe, and then cutting a groove with a file into the brass. I also opened up one end of that flywheel to accept the existing spur gear that was still going to remain, and I ended up pressing that in my vise together to the flywheel, and then reassembling the intermediate shaft, we'll say, with the belt. And once I got that all put together again, all I did was take the belt and put it over the top of the flywheel, or on top of the main pulley of the motor. Broke it in, and the running quality is exceptional. Part of the noise on these locomotives is the original 3-pole motor. It cogs so badly, and the chassis of the tender is completely plastic, minus the big lead weight that sits on the top of the entire assembly, for traction. So that was the first thing to go. Right now, it's running with a 5-pole Bueller motor, 2mm shaft, and it runs exceptional. The more I run it, the quieter it gets, and it's really a smooth runner. So next will be for this engine is going to be an ESU Loc Sound decoder, and she'll get inspection lights under the running board, cab lights, firebox flicker, full sound suite, and that wonderful ESU drive. So I expect her to be even smoother going forward, but that's about it. So what I want to say is, when things seem daunting, okay, and you're dealt what is a bad hand, don't give up. Assess what you have and see what you can do to make it right and make it better. So never give up. You never know what you're going to end up with, even if it's a bad deal. This was surprise number one, and like I said, I had a couple of them this holiday season, and they all turned out exceptional. So going forward now, as additional episodes come out, I will be highlighting a few other special problem childs that I've had, and it's a lot of fun. I grew up with not much, so what I either had to fix or make new, and this is from when I was just a little kid. So I love getting things that somebody either doesn't want, doesn't think it's valuable, or it's been abused, and bringing them back around. And it's nothing more. There's no greater thrill for me than taking something that has been either destroyed, neglected, damaged, what most other people would typically throw out, and bring it back around and making it good again. So, and then taking that base and expanding upon it and doing some out of the box stuff. So show you, so we're going to close with some run-bys of that engine. I also purchased, again for a really good deal, a 5-car passenger car set from the same era, the 30s and 40s. Could even go into like the mid-20s. But it's something that this engine would have pulled. And these cars need some work as well. So we'll be bringing them up into the future. But overall, I'm ecstatic. I can't wait till I can get the DCC installed in it and really make her come alive. But I appreciate you all hanging out, and I appreciate everyone for their patience in this time. I bet some people are like, oh, what the hell's going on? He said 2 weeks, it's going on a month. So I really appreciate everyone sticking around, and I hope 2025 is good for everyone. My heart, thoughts, and prayers go out to all the people in California right now. As I record this, there are 3 fires still going in California, so thoughts and prayers to everyone there. That's all. I'll leave you with the run-bys, and till I see you folks again, have a good one.